Okay, so let's look at this example that's in your lecture this week. And it says, it's a word problem. It says, a number is 7 times another number. When the numbers are added, their sum is 40. What are the numbers? So, you can tell that there are two numbers that are unknown. There's one number that's a small number, and there's another number that's 7 times the first number. So usually when you're defining your variable for your word problems, and you always do want to define your variables for your word problems, you always let x stand for the quantity you know nothing about. And see, we know nothing about the smaller number, but we know that the other number is 7 times the small number. So we're going to let x be the smaller number. That's the one we know nothing about. So you're going to write let x equal the small number. And I tell all my students that if this is all they do in a problem that I'm grading, I give them a point just for even doing that part. Okay, so always define your variable. Okay, so if x is the small number, the large number is 7 times x. So 7x, 7 times x. Remember that anytime you put a number like 7 in front of a variable, that means multiply. So 7x is going to be your large number. Okay, so those are our two numbers for now. And what are you going to do with these two numbers? Well, it says that the numbers are going to be added. So we're going to take these two numbers and add them together. So we're going to do x, that's the small number, plus 7x, and that's our large number. And that sum, so when you see something like this that says the sum is 40, sum means whatever you get when you add, and that is gives you a big clue that that's an equals that goes there. So this sum, adding these two numbers, is 40. So that's your equation. And now we just have to solve for x. And one of the things that you need to remember is that anytime you have a variable and it appears that there's no number in front, we understand that to be a 1 times x. So you can write in here a 1x to remind you that this coefficient, and coefficient is just a word that means the number in front of a variable. This number is 1x and this is 7x. So think of it this way. You've got 1x here and you are adding it to 7 more x's over here, right? So you don't have to do all this work, but I want you to visualize if it's your first time doing these kinds of problems. So here we have 7 x's, right? There's 7 of them. And here we have an extra one. And when we put them together, how many x's do we have? Well, we have 8x. We have 8 x's. So those 8 x's have to equal our 40. Okay? Now, remember how we talked about that a number in front of a variable means times? So you are trying to think, what number, x, what number would I multiply times 8 to get an answer of 40? And so if you said 5, then you're right. X equals 5. So that's one way that you can do this problem right here. You can say, well, 8 times what is 40? Oh, well, 8 times 5, so x must be 5. Okay? Another way you can do this problem is, since the 8 is multiplied times the x, we need to move that 8 over with the 40, because when we're solving in algebra for the unknown, when we're solving for x, we want to get the x by itself. We call that isolate the variable. So you want to get that x all by itself. So that 8 is in the way. And the 8 is multiplied, right? So to move it to the other side of the equation, you do the opposite of multiplication, which is divide. So we're going to take 8x, okay, and you're going to divide by 8. But in equations, things that you do like this to one side, you have to do to the other side to balance things out. So if you divide by 8 here, then you have to divide by 8 here. And so now here you have, what's 8 divided by 8? Well, you know from your fractions that these two 8's cancel and leave you a 1. So this is 1x, which is what we wanted. We wanted just x. All right, so our left-hand side is good. And then over here, what's 40 divided by 8? Well, that's 5. So see, your answer is 5. We get the same answer either way. Now, what did you just find? You always want to go back and reread your problem and go, well, what did I just find? Well, remember up here you said x is the small number, so you just find the small number. So then, since they're asking us for both numbers here, then to find the next number, we have to take x, which is 5, and multiply times 7. So 7x is 7 times 5. You substitute, and 7 times 5 is 35. So your two numbers are 5 and 35. And notice that when you add those two together, what do you get? Yep, you get your 40. So that checks, right? 5 plus 35 equals 40, and that checks. Okay, I hope that helps you.